Picture the world's first weightlifting champion. Go ahead, build that image in your mind. Big, powerful, probably enormous, probably the kind of man who walks into a room and changes the air pressure. Now let me tell you about a bald, bespectacled 5'4" schoolteacher and choirmaster from Birmingham who walked into a room full of the strongest men in the world and lifted more than every single one of them. This story happened on March 28, 1891, and I promise you it is better than anything you could have imagined. It is 1891. The sport of weightlifting is barely a sport at all. Strongman acts perform in circus tents and music halls. Men lift improbably large objects to the astonishment of crowds who have never seen anything like it. But there is no world championship, no official record, no single moment where the strongest men on earth stand in the same room and find out who is actually the best. That is about to change. On March 28th, 7 athletes from 6 countries gather at a venue in London. They have come from Germany, Austria, Belgium, Italy, and England, champions in their own right, men built like furniture. And the event they are about to compete in will become the very first World Weightlifting Championship in the history of sport. And among them stands Edward Lawrence Levy. He is 39 years old. He is 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighs 156 pounds, which is, to put it gently, considerably less than most of the men he is about to compete against. Some of his opponents weigh twice as much as he does. He wears glasses, he has a full beard and a completely bald head. And in his day job, he runs a school and sings in a synagogue choir. He is not what you picture when you picture the world's strongest man, which is exactly what makes what happens next so magnificent. There are no weight categories in this competition, no divisions, no brackets. Everyone competes together, against everyone else, regardless of size. The event runs over 3 days and consists of pressing weights of 56 and 84 pounds, with the lifts repeated and hands alternating. Technique, endurance, and sheer will, all measured at once. The bigger men have the obvious advantage in raw power. Edward Levy has something else. 2 months earlier, he had won the very first British Amateur Weightlifting Championship. He knows exactly how to lift. He has spent years studying his own body, training methodically, understanding mechanics in a way that brute size cannot always replace. Over 3 days of competition, lift after lift, Edward Levy outperforms every man in that room. The schoolteacher from Birmingham, the choirmaster, the man in the glasses who weighs 156 pounds is competing against champions from across Europe. He wins. Edward Lawrence Levy becomes the first world weightlifting champion in the history of sport. And he later wrote about that moment with words that stay with you. He said there was one great feature of the 2 championships he won that he could not help but mention, and that was, in his own words, the great joy I felt as a Jew at winning these events. He had also paid a price to be there. Competing on the Jewish Sabbath cost him his position as synagogue choirmaster. But he did not walk away from what he believed he was built to do. He stepped up to the bar, and he lifted. Between 1891 and 1894, Edward Levy set 14 world records. At the first modern Olympics in Athens in 1896, he was there not as a competitor, age having moved him to the sidelines, but as a member of the official weightlifting jury. The man who started it all was now presiding over the next chapter of the sport he helped build. Today, the International Weightlifting Federation oversees competitions in more than 190 countries. Olympic weightlifting draws athletes from every corner of the earth. What began with 7 men from 6 nations in a London venue on a cold March morning now belongs to the world. And it all traces back to a bespectacled schoolteacher who decided that size was not the whole story. Edward Levy lived to be 80 years old. He wrote books, founded athletic organizations, ran schools, and spent his whole long life doing more than anyone around him expected. Not because he was the biggest man in any room, but because he showed up and refused to be underestimated. Here is what I keep coming back to with this story. Edward Levy walked into a room where nobody expected him to win. He was too small, too old, Too ordinary looking, too much of everything the world had decided a champion was not supposed to be, and he lifted anyway. And he won. And then he kept going for the rest of his life, building things, teaching people, writing things down, leaving a record of a life fully and fearlessly lived. I wonder how many people in your own family carried that same spirit, the ones who showed up when nobody gave them much of a chance, the ones who did something remarkable with a life that the world might have called ordinary, the ones whose stories deserve to be told but have not been written down yet. Have you ever thought about doing that? About sitting down and writing the stories that only you can tell? The people in your family who lifted more than anyone expected, the moments that shaped you, the laughter and the struggle and the quiet courage that never made the history books but absolutely should have. Because here is what I know. 100 years from now, someone in your family is going to want to know who you were, what you carried, what you chose. And the only way they will know is if you write it down. Your stories are a gift that only you can give. And the people waiting to receive them do not even know yet how much they will treasure them. Every single day here at History Sparks, we go looking for people exactly like Edward Levy, the ones history almost forgot, the ones whose stories deserve far more than a footnote. And I want you here with us for every single one of them. If today's story lit something up in you, please hit that subscribe button right now and join the History Sparks family. Come back tomorrow, bring someone you love, because this community we are building together is full of the warmest, most curious, most story-loving people I have ever had the joy of knowing, and we would be so glad to have you with us. I will see you tomorrow.